Hi peeps, welcome to this first day in our week-long intensive entitled Forget That Deck, where we decide if the deck that we are choosing to work with over this week is one that we're going to keep in our collection, or if it's time to move that deck along and allow it to find a new home and explore a new journey with someone else. So let's just take a moment and connect in together so that we can be in the right space to start this journey off and to really connect in with our intention, which is ultimately to build a relationship with this deck, or to understand if the relationship has died, and also to connect in more intimately with ourselves and our own journey and path. So just join me in putting your hands on your heart for a moment and closing your eyes. And let's take a few breaths here. As you breathe, feel for your breath gently filling your chest. And as you exhale, feel for releasing daily stresses and concerns. And now as you inhale, I want you to feel in your upper stomach an expansion with this inhale. As you exhale, releasing fears or concerns and anxieties. With the next inhale, I want you to feel for breathing into low belly. This inhale brings life to your creativity and your intuition. And the exhale releases blockages against valuing yourself. Beautiful. Now gently open your eyes. And I want you to take a moment and just take your deck of choice. I am using the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. There is a secondary video that is coming out today where I discuss the deck that I'm working with personally, and you can find the link for that in the description box down below. But I want you to take a moment and grab your deck of choice, and I just want you to hold it in your hands. And then I want you to go ahead and close your eyes now. Some of us tend to see and feel things intuitively, and some of us don't. Some of us just know things. So I don't want you to get into a headspace where you feel like you have to make something happen right now, especially when I use the word feel. Instead, what I want you to do as you hold this deck in your hands is just notice if you have any awareness of the deck itself. Now, first, you might have your own resistance to the deck showing up. Like, oh God, I fucking struggle with this deck so much, or whatever comes up for you around that, right? So just allow that to filter through. And then I want you to allow for a stillness to settle in as you just listen or feel or know any awarenesses that come through. Maybe there's a sense of kind of cautious excitement or curiosity. It's percolating between the two of you. Or perhaps you have an image or a knowing, an understanding of an aspect of the deck's personality or its reason for being in your experience. Just feel into that. Just be with that. And if all you have is static, that's okay. Just give yourself a moment to be with that. Don't force yourself through that. Now you can go ahead and put your deck down and just settle in to chat with me for a few minutes in this tutorial aspect of our experience. You will also see in the description box down below that I have a homework video linked, as well as the meditation, the guided journey for you to take with your deck of choice. You're going to be moving through that partway through the week. And I really encourage you, after you listen to this first tutorial, to head on over to the other preparatory video and the homework video so that you can really set yourself up for success with the deck over the next week. But that guided journey you're going to be doing probably about halfway through your experience. That's what I would recommend. So let's take a moment and talk about troublesome decks. It's funny, when I was sitting with the energy of what this thank you workshop would be for the YouTube channel, I kept seeing Oh That Gnome from Froude's Fairies Oracle. That sense of like consternation and resistance that we can have when we just have that one deck that drives us nuts, or that for the life of us we can't have the experience that other people who also work with tarot and oracle decks are having in their experience. And so there can be this sense of frustration, right, that kind of builds up. I really look at our decks. I'm an animist at heart, and so I really look at all things as being alive and having life force. And so I look at each deck within my collection as having a personality and an energy. And I invite you to sit with if that resonates for you, or even if you are able to look at the decks within your collection, your spiritual toolkit, as containing an energy and essence of the creators of the deck, if not an actual individual life force, right? And my intention as we move through this week together is to connect in with the essential essence of the deck as a personality and an energy. And in that way, being able to define for ourselves the purpose of the deck in our collection, and if we're meant to continue working together, or if it's time for a donation experience so that the deck can connect with someone else who's meant to work with it. Many of us are searching for our ride or die deck, our wifey deck, or our husband deck, you know, the deck that we use every day, all the time, no matter what, and that's our best friend. But not every deck can hold that space in our collection. And it most certainly doesn't mean that we should get rid of every other deck except for our ride or die deck, unless that's your personal calling. Instead, what I really appreciate doing, especially because I'm a professional tarot reader, is to find the unique place that the deck as an energy has in my collection, its purpose for working with me. And so there are certain decks I have that are shadow work decks, certain decks that are for empowerment, affirmation, connecting with the sacred feminine, connecting with the sacred masculine. Certain decks that I have really resonate with a specific deity. And so when I want to connect with, let's say, Hecate, I will often use the Darkwood Tarot, because for me, the Darkwood Tarot holds the essence of crossroads magic within witchcraft. The magic of the forest, right? In the same way that if I want to work with Sir Nunos, I would pull perhaps from the Witch Sister Tarot, right? So as you build your work with the cards, there are certain decks that can hold certain places. And so while they may not be daily decks that we use every single day and we connect with constantly in our experience, there may be decks that have very specific reasons and purposes within our collection. And that's what this workshop is ultimately intended to assist you to define for yourself. Is the Soul Mirror Oracle your ultimate shadow work deck that you keep on the shelf, and when it's time to engage in shadow work, you go to the shelf, that area on your deck, within your deck collection that has all the shadow work decks you love, and you pull that deck out and you work with it for that reason, right? Every deck is not going to be constant use, but every deck in your collection can, and in my opinion, should have some form of purpose. Because just to collect dust on the shelf, is not really getting the most out of your collection, right? And card practice isn't only for divinatory reasons. I have found over the years, personally for myself, as well as in practice with my clients, that card work is really about understanding ourselves and understanding our journeys. I talk a lot about our spiritual path and our earth path and the areas where those two intersect and marry and entwine in our journeys. And our card work can give us a lot of insight into what's going on within our unconscious, what's going on behind the scenes. It can really give us some insight into exploring and understanding ourselves, exploring and connecting with deity, with guides, with our spirit tribe, and exploring and connecting with the elements and with aspects of our craft. So we're not only turning to the cards when we have a question, we're really walking and sharing a symbiotic living relationship with our decks. They're here to give us as much as we will allow them to. And I've found something that is very healing in my work with the cards is storytelling. It's healing not only to understand myself, but also to find my clients' stories within card spreads. And so I love being able to pull from a wealth of decks in order to understand the fullness, the full scope of my client's story, my own story. And especially as time goes by, I love working with decks to understand parts of myself that I may not be giving the attention or the presence that they deserve. So as we move through this week, it's not about, is this deck my ride or die? It's more about, does this deck have a place in my collection that's viable? And do I connect and can I begin to understand my deck's personality? So you have 3 card spreads that you'll work with this week that will assist you to kind of flesh out the way that the two of you are interacting with each other and how to get to know each other more. But I really want to encourage you as you move through this week to consider that you are building a relationship with this deck. It's like dating this deck. You know, I have a series on my channel called Date My Decks, right? And this is like dating this deck that sat on your shelf that you haven't known what to do with or that frustrates you beyond belief. And it's time to explore and get to know this deck. Do you want to date this deck? And if you want to date this deck, what kind of dating experience are the two of you going to share together? The sun came out all of a sudden, and now it's like at the prime time through the windows and it's super bright, so I just needed to adjust the lighting a little bit. Hopefully you can see me a little bit better there. So we're looking at building relationship, which means getting to know our deck, which means spending some time with it, hanging out with it. And that's what the homework is going to give you this week. Your time and guided journey with your deck as well is going to give you some insight into how the two of you connect together. But I want you to take a moment here with me, grab your journal and pen, and reflect for a moment around your intention in wanting to figure out your relationship with this deck. So you can go ahead and jot down a few sentences now while I talk around your intention in attempting to build or rebuild relationship or understanding with this specific deck in your collection. Sitting with this intention and then starting to engage with the journal prompts and your homework for this week is going to give you some insight into what you are building with this deck and if the two of you can find a language that works together. This is something that requires patience and presence, and so there's going to be some uncomfortable moments within this week's journey. But if you can remember the purpose of this work, it's going to help you to stay connected and tapped in to the purpose of this journey. And if you are like me and feel particularly confounded by the deck that you're choosing, this is also going to give you some insight into why there are some blind spots in the relationship and what you might be pushing aside or not being particularly kind or present to within yourself. So you're going to have some time to sit with reflecting on your journey right now as well. So as you finish up writing about your intention here, your intention around why you want to devote this time and energy to this deck, to giving it one more try, if you will, this week. Now I want you to take a moment and just jot down in your journal, where are you in your path and journey? How are you feeling in general? What do you feel is amazing about where you are right now? Where do you feel disconnected or perhaps a little bit lost? What would you like to be experiencing in your journey? Where do you feel perhaps you've abandoned yourself or not been present? Just give yourself a few more moments here to write down a few sentences about you. I'm going to give you another few moments here to do that. And now, before you put your journal and pen away, or however you are documenting this experience for yourself, I want you to think back to holding that deck in your hand and write down 2 or 3 key words that you would use to describe how it felt to be with the deck as an energy, not looking at the imagery in the deck, not looking at the guidebook, but just holding the deck as a whole. Just write down 2 or 3 keywords that come up around that. What came up when you were just holding the deck? And if you need to pause the video and take a moment again and hold the deck in your hands again, please feel free to do that. But just jot down a few words. Doesn't even need to be sentences, just a few words that pop up from holding the energy of the deck in your hands. I'll give you a few more moments here to do that. And now you can go ahead and put your journal and pen down. And I just want you to feel into for a moment curiosity. Instead of resistance, curiosity. You don't need to have a plan with this curiosity. You don't need to have something you know you're going to do as soon as you shut the video off. Just be with the word curiosity and with the energy of what comes up for you whenever you hear that word. Precociousness, perhaps. Maiden energy, core. Artemis. Is there something that comes up for you when you think about the word curiosity? And now I'd like you to take a moment and make the commitment that you're going to stay curious about your deck of choice, yourself, and the relationship that you are building together, or the understanding that you are creating together throughout this particular intensive experience. So just be with that commitment, the commitment towards curiosity and exploration. And if you want to write down what came up for you there in your journal, feel free to do that. I'll give you a moment there. And then let's put our hands back on our hearts together. Then you can go ahead and close your eyes if you would like. And I want you to feel if we're connecting to your breath again. And as you breathe, holding that expansion of curiosity, the awareness of the commitment you've just made, not only to the deck, but to yourself, to invest in yourself over this intensive. Gently feel or know that there is a warmth of gratitude within the center of your heart unfurling, blossoming like petals of a flower. Gratitude for this journey, for your practice, for yourself, for your being, for your body, for your path, and for this powerful spiritual tool that is the confounding deck within your collection, that you've decided to embark on this journey with. And when you feel that blossoming reach its fullest expression within your heart, go ahead and open your eyes. You can take your hands from your heart. I'm so excited to share this journey with you. Please check out the other videos so you can participate as the week is moving along. I will be sharing personal reflections throughout the week, and you will also see that the guided journey uploads around midweek, and you have your card spreads and your daily draws to work with as you unfurl and move and flow with this week's journey. And then this upcoming Sunday, there will also be a final video posted allowing us to close the circle, finish the journey, and be aware of our final decision when it comes to forgetting that deck or keeping it with us. I'm sending you, as always, oceans of love, and you know I will, of course, see you in the next video. Take care.